We are live. Yes, we are live. I'd love to be able to see you. Hello. Welcome. My name is TJ Doyle, and I am the Director of Social Media for NAR, and I'm here with Jessica Lautz, our Director of Survey Research and Communications in the Research Division. We are doing our first Google Hangout on the 2015 Generational Trends Report, which was released yesterday, and we're going to talk about some of the high-level information in that report. And Jessica, we should start with, I know we do an annual home buyers and sellers report every year. What made you take a look at that data generationally?
Well, we wanted to do this. We started doing this 2 years ago. This is the third report that we've released. And we really wanted to take a look and see with the baby boomers retiring, why are they selling their home? Are they staying in the same spot? And we also wanted to look at millennials and see how Gen Yers, millennials, same term, and I'll use it interchangeably, are actually buying a home and getting into the home buying market, and if they're doing it differently. So are they embracing technology? Are they sticking with a realtor? And those are all findings that we found from this report.
Great. As we do this, because this is live technology, I'm making sure the video feed is on. And if any of my colleagues down the hall would like to give me a thumbs up in the window, because we know we're talking and we know it's recording. So I don't know if you can see my beautiful mug. So that's anyone down the hallway that wants to check. So we're going to go back to talking rather than perhaps seeing us. So the millennials, we see article after article and news story after news story about millennials. It seems kind of obvious, but what are the differences right now between younger buyers and older buyers?
Sure. So there's some pretty vast differences. So when we look at millennials, they're typically first-time home buyers. They actually are the largest share today that we see in the home buying market. We've seen this for the last 2 years now. And they're jumping in feet first, and they're typically looking to buy their first home. So when we think about first-time home buyers in the market, they're a little more buying in an urban setting versus a suburban setting, buying smaller square footage, but close to their job is very important to them. So they want to have a short commute time, convenience to their workplace. And when we look at baby boomers, completely different scenario. So I'm sure that's not surprising. We actually broke out, they can't see us at all.
Oh, so you can hear us, but you can't see us. So
yes, that is correct. That is the thumbs up and thumbs down that I am getting.
okay, excellent. So we will take a moment here as we are hitting save on a new camera option. This is why Google Hangouts are so fun. Okay.
Thanks for bearing with us on our first.
You can hear us. So Jessica, keep talking about the importance while I figure out how to make the camera work.
All right.
So you were talking about younger buyers and sort of what they look for in homes. What challenges are the Gen Y, the millennial generation, facing as they look to buy a home?
Sure. So what we saw in the profile home buyers and sellers, and this is where the data actually comes from, is that we're seeing the challenges that they're facing are really the same challenges as first-time home buyers overall. So one of their most difficult tasks is actually just finding the right home, and a lot of that is due to tightened inventory. They're up against investors, as they both typically buy the same price of a home, and they need to have patience, I guess, when they're going through the home buying process, because it might take a little longer than they expect. And we are seeing that they're taking the longest period of time to actually find a home than in comparison to baby boomers and the silent generation.
Let's dig a little deeper into the homes themselves. What size of homes are certain generations in the report breaking down?
Sure. So among our Gen Yers, they're buying the smallest size home. And then among our actual baby boomers, the younger boomers, and our Gen Xers, they're buying the largest size homes. And typically they have children in their households, so not surprising they need a little more square footage. And then when we look at our older boomers and our silent generation, they do start to downsize their home purchase. So they're actually trying to consolidate perhaps space and buy a smaller home.
Things like commuting costs and energy efficiency we always see as important in the home buyer and seller report. Are they important to certain generations we survey versus others, or is it across the board?
So it's really interesting when we look at things like environmental features, because there's a lot of different environmental features out there. There's things like heating and cooling costs versus the actual community which you live in, and they're important to different types of buyers. So there we are on camera.
All right, so this is terrible, but there we go. So I found a workaround. Hello, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed our voices. This is the face that goes with that voice. I'm TJ. That's obviously Jessica. So let's go back to answering whatever question I just asked as I fiddled with the video.
All right, so you were asking about environmental features. So when we look at our environmental features, it's really interesting because our Gen Yers and our Gen Xers are really thinking about their bottom line, their pocketbook at the end of the month. So they're thinking about their heating and cooling costs and things that directly affect them. So their appliances, their lighting. But when we actually look at our baby boomers and our silent generation, perhaps they have more time on their hands because they're in the retirement phase of their life. But they're really thinking about their community features and landscaping for energy conservation. So really thinking about the community around them.
Okay. Younger buyers, how do they first learn about their home, and is it different than the older buyer?
Sure. So one of the reasons why we started doing this report is one of the findings that we actually found is that our Gen Yers and our Gen Xers are really embracing technology. So they're searching for their home online. It's the first step that they're going is they're popping open their laptop or they're searching on their mobile device. And so when they're searching for homes online, they are actually more likely to find their home online than our older buyers are. Our older buyers are feeling really comfortable going to open houses. They know which neighborhood they want to buy in a lot of the time. And they've worked with an agent before because they're repeat buyers. So they're actually feeling comfortable picking up the phone and calling that person and saying, hey, I'm ready to buy again. Are you ready to work with me?
So Google Hangout Technology sponsored by Starbucks. I'm going to take a pause here. So the all-important question, given we work at the National Association of Realtors, how are realtors helping all generations in the process, and how do they specifically help perhaps Gen Y differently than the younger boomer?
Sure. So one of the things that we found is even though our younger buyers are embracing this technology, so they're feeling comfortable searching for homes, feeling comfortable looking on mobile devices, perhaps in their local Starbucks, showing mom and dad, hey, this is the house that I just went to this weekend and I'm thinking about putting a contract on it. When it comes to actually working with a real estate agent, we actually found that our Gen Yers are more likely to purchase through a real estate agent than our older buyers. And that's actually because our older buyers are more likely than our younger buyers to go out there and purchase a new home. So perhaps there's not an agent involved, or they're purchasing a home from a neighbor or someone that they know, and having kind of a transaction that's happening between them.
Okay. So I've asked some of my bulleted questions I was given prior to the Hangout starting in the dark ether. What am I missing? What are the highlights from yesterday's report that I'm missing, and what sort of trend lines have we seen? Because you said we've now done this report the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. So what other things should people take away from this?
So one of the other findings that I find really interesting in this report, and we just started recently asking this question, is about multi-generational households. So when we cut this data, we actually found that 1 in 5 recent buyers who are younger boomers actually live in a multi-generational house. Now, this multi-generational house isn't necessarily living with their elderly parents, but that is the second reason on the list, is caretaking for their elderly parents. It's actually their young adult children moving back into the house. So that's something that was one of the more interesting findings.
Very good. Well, anything else? I have all sorts of pieces of paper, and I have all sorts of infographics and other items in front of me, along with the Starbucks cookie. This entire Hangout has been sponsored by Starbucks, apparently. What else, if anything, should people take away from this? 140 characters or less. What tweet is the most important out of the latest Gen Trends report?
I think when you're using this data and you're a real estate agent out there and you want to take this data and really compartmentalize it and say, okay, I'm working with this potential client, it's good to take away Gen Yers just expressing that inventory is tight. You're probably going to have to take a little time to find that exact right property for them because they're probably buying at the lower end of homes on the market right now where it is very tight. And I think when you're looking at your baby boomers out there who are typically moving for retirement, or older boomers, and perhaps they're downsizing, just working with them on the patience too, and knowing that this buying process is probably not the same that they encountered 10 years ago. When you're working with the silent generation, they typically want to be close to friends and family. And so really keeping that top of mind, that they're thinking about their convenience to their local hospital, their health facility, so perhaps their gym because they have time to go there during the day. And so really keeping those priorities in mind when working with them. Our Gen Xers, I think they're very interesting. They're most likely to have children in the house. And when you have children in the house, the least compromised factor is that distance to school and the quality of the school. So really keeping that in mind, that wherever that school district is, wherever that elementary school or the high school they want to be close to in that district, really understanding where are those boundaries and keeping them in that place.
Great. So this was our first Google Hangout. There will be more. I appreciate your patience with me and my camera skills. If you see me replaced like Darren on Bewitched next episode, just pretend it's other TJ. This information is all available right on our website, which is realtor.org, and /research would be the landing page for the research division. We have the report itself. We have highlights. We'll post this Google Hangout highlight video, which is half video, half audio. We have several infographics, one that covers each generation, and an infographic on both buyer and seller generational differences. And I think that covers it for now. I will also plug that to check out our Twitter feeds, because this evening we're going to be running an interactive infographic on these generations, which is exceptionally cool and I'm excited about. So I did see it. It is very cool. And at the end of the month, we're going to do a Twitter chat, which we'll promote online as usual. And it's at Realtors would be the Twitter feed. At NAR_research would be the research Twitter feed. I'm at NAR Social. If I still have a Twitter feed after this wonderful video failure. I want to thank everyone for joining us. If you have any questions for me, you're welcome to email me directly. It's tdoyle, TDOYLE, @realtors.org. And we hope to see you again. So thank you for joining our first Google Hangout. Jessica, anything else? No, thank you. Thank you, Starbucks.